Hello everyone, welcome to NEETLOGIN. Today's topic is the chapter 4 of plus 2 reproductive health. In the NEET point of view, the number of questions expected from this chapter are 2, and even the probability of tricky questions from this chapter happens now and then. So focus on this each and every aspect of this reproductive health, keeping in the view of NCERT obviously. What is reproductive health? Before going to discuss in detail, let's have what are the topics we are going to discuss in this chapter. The reproductive health, the problems and strategies. And the next one is the population explosion and birth control. MTP, medical termination of the pregnancy. STD, the sexually transmitted diseases, and infertility. These are the topics we are going to discuss in detail in the case of this topic reproductive health. What is reproductive health? It's sounding like healthy reproductive organs. It's not only confined to have just a functionally healthy reproductive organs, but also it's related with other aspects too. According to WHO, World Health Organization, gave a definition for what it means, the reproductive health. A person should be not only having the physically and functionally well reproductive organs, is related with called as is a physical, emotional, behavioral and the social well-being. A physical, emotional, behavioral and the social well-being of reproductive related thing is called as a reproductive health. A person having just a physical and functionally well functional reproductive organs is not enough. There should be also a normal emotional and behavioral when related with the sexual aspects. Then only we can say the society will be healthier. So they should have a balanced emotional and behavioral aspects regarding their sexual aspects. No doubt human being is a sexually reproducing organism, is a part and parcel of the life process. And why it's introduced in the plus 2 and even in the case of this school age, the reason for that is in order to make you bring the awareness related with the case of this reproduction and all, in order to not believe the myths and misconceptions. So in have a clarity related with the scientific aspects. So let's step into the case of this reproductive health, the problems and strategies we're going to start in this chapter. Reproductive health. Problems and strategies. What are the problems? Why the problems arises in order to make reproductively healthy? And what are the strategies? And how these strategies will drive us in a better way? Let's have a look on this. Before going to step onto this, the problems, let's talk about our nation India. India is the second most populous country in the world after China. You know pretty well about this. After independence, due to the advancement, due to the facilities has been increased, as the lifestyles changed, the population exploded like anything. As what happened in the world, the same thing, the scenario happened in India too. The population exploded like anything. And India is the first country to realize soon how to overcome this problem. So it's the first nation in the world to initiate the program called as Family Planning Program. In the year 1951, soon after the independence, after 1947, as explosion of the population happened soon. And over decades, several programs had been incorporated in order to make their people to drive towards the better in the reproductive aspects. Over decades, what they did, they improvised, they made a lot of changes and improved version of this family planning program of 1951. Now it's familiarly called as a RCH, Reproductive and Child Health Care. And in this program, the government is looking after the facilities to be provided to the people. And what is the available assistance to be provided? what they can make the better in order to make their society well developed in this aspect. Let's see that. So this program is associated with all the aspects of reproductive health that will make our socially well developed society. Because reproductive health is not having just a reproductively healthy organs. It is also associated with the society, social well-being too. That's why I'm using the word society. And here, if we talk about the things related with the case of why these are all necessity, especially if a child, if we talk about, if they don't know about all these things, they'll start believing the myths and the misconceptions if they don't have an awareness, if they don't know anything, because awareness is a great word now. We should need an awareness in anything. Awareness is very much important. If you are using now in the corona pandemic time, all these online things, social network and all, if you use for betterizing yourself, to uplift yourself, to gear up in your field, is a good, well and good. But if it is misused, if you don't know these things and if you misused, so that leads to the case of your downfall. So even the students, not only the students, any field, irrespective of in any industry, proper knowledge and awareness is very much helpful us to build us strong in order to reach our goal. Even why this thing is introduced here. In the school age, the educational field has launched this chapter, introduced this chapter in the case of school age people, and also in the case of your +1 and +2. Why? In the +2, this reproduction and this reproductive health care. Why? Because this is the actual time the people should know what actually happening around you, in and around you. Because this is during the adolescence time. Due to the puberty, as the reproductive organs start, already you read in the previous chapter 3, the reproductive organs start growing in the puberty stage due to the hormonal increase. As the hormone level increases, the reproductive organs start growing and they are ready to make them sexually fit and in order to make their babies. Because human being is a sexually reproducing organism and they show the viviparity. In order to perpetuate our race, in order to continue our human race, is not a sin or anything that even nowadays, in majority of the areas, is like not supposed to be, we are not supposed to talk about the reproduction and reproductively related aspects, even the menstruation too. But awareness need to bring and brought in areas already is needed to bring in order to make ourselves to understand, yes, is not other than our phenomenon. It is a part and parcel of our life. If you know this, we'll take it in an easy way. If you start not disclosing and keeping hidden, out of curiosity, the children will starting believing the myths and the misconceptions that leads to the destruction of the society. So that's the reason why in the educational system it's been incorporated in order to make the students, the adolescent age group people, how the sexual organs are growing and what is the safest sexual related aspects, how they should make themselves hygiene related with the sexually reproducing organs. So maintaining hygiene is also very helpful. As you read in the chapter 3 during the menstruation, what are the steps to be taken to maintain ourselves hygienic? Because one of the alarming thing in case of India by the scientific community is worried much about is the cervical cancers are growing year by year. Actually, the most common cancer in women is breast cancer. But nowadays, in the rural people, most of the cases had filed in the case of the rural background people because of the lack of hygienity during the menstruation. They want to keep themselves that secrecy and they don't want to expose themselves that in order to take the measures to be hygienic and healthy. That's leading to the cervical cancer. So awareness is very, very, very important phenomenon in any of these things. As it's related with the perpetuation of race, is play a priority role, is a vital phenomenon in our life processes. Though everyone is having its equal importance, but still, I hope you are able to understand what I'm talking about. If you know the people, the adolescent age group, the students, you people will know all these things, how is the safest drive towards this, drive in the sense safest measure of the sexual intercourse, and even what lead the baby, how the baby can develop. And at the same time, if all they know all these things, they can prevent the sexually related diseases, transmitted diseases, the STDs and the AIDS. Because AIDS is one which is a sexually related disease, the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. If they have an idea what happens, what makes them to menstruate, the females, the girls, the women, if they know why the menstruation is happening, because it's a part of their reproductive event. The boys, why there changes in the case of the body, not only the males and the females, in both of them, what are the changes is happening. If they come to know well, they can take some measures and safeguard themselves from this transmissible diseases, sexually transmitted diseases. And who will take a part in this? Alone the government and the NGOs, non-governmental organization, because anyway the government is taken the initiatory activities by using both the audio and visual phenomena, and in the print media every time they are focusing, publicity is happening in all the ones. Sometimes you can see the publicity in the railway stations, aerodromes, and also in the case of this bus stands, bus stops and all, in order to make them aware, bring awareness of this. Alone the government is responsible for this, and even NGOs need to do this? No one? No. Though this print media and the audio visual effects, by this it's reaching every people. Why they're using the audio? Why they're using the visual methods? In order to reach every people, irrespective of their status in the sense educational status. Maybe some are illiterate, some are highly literated, and some are experts in their fields. Irrespective of that, it should reach easily. They should reach to the person and they can understand it, and to prevent the consequences. Because as the population is exploding, it leading to the case of sexual crimes, sexual abuses, sex-related crimes and all. So in order to stop this, is alone the government and NGOs are related with this? No, never. Each and every person is having the responsibility in this. Who here? Dissemination of these all information can be done. What is dissemination? Widely spread. It should be publicized. By whom? Not only by the parents, the close relatives, the teachers and the friends. If they have a problem associated with their reproductive phenomena, they should easily, without shy, without anything, without any hesitation, they are supposed to reach their elders in order to say this is the problem is happening with them. Then it will go to a healthy nation. A society will be healthier. That's why we are linked. WHO said is not just a reproductively healthy organs, but also related with the socially, behaviorally and emotional aspects. Now and then it happens, the sexual abuses and rapes and all these happening here and there. You might have heard the word to educate the people. They educate not only alone the girls, and even the boys should be equally educated. So sexual education is also the part and parcel. They should know the priority and importance of all these things. Hope you understood why dissemination is needed, why this wide publicity is needed in order to make our nation socially responsible and healthy society. And if we talk about the next thing here it is, Several things, the stimulation of these things happened by the government and the NGOs in order to develop the infrastructures. Infrastructure support is needed. Without infrastructure support, you can't do anything. So infrastructure support is done, and also the medical assistance. I mean, experts are needed in the particular thing. I mean, in the particular field. As we are talking about the reproduction here, medical practitioners, experts are needed. So the medical experts and also the support, infrastructural support is there. Infrastructure support money, for example, if they have a problem in the menstruation, if they need to scan their ovaries in order to see that something, if they need the support, technical and financial support is needed by the government who cannot afford, and also by the private organization who can afford. Irrespective of that financial status, I'm saying infrastructural support also is very much essential. Along with that, even we need some material support too. Material support is also needed. If all these things happens, approach will be a different, because it's not only alone for the students and the adolescent age group, even who are fertile couple, who are in the reproductive period, and who recently married couple. For them also, they need to have an awareness. So what are those sexually related diseases like STDs, what we can call like. So some are sexually transmitted diseases are there like gonorrhea and syphilis, and so many things are there. Even AIDS also sexually transmitted disease. So they should know how the sexually transmitted disease will spread from one to other through sexual contact. Along with that, they should know that how they can make a babies and how this menstruation happens. So ceasing of menstruation, is an indication of the pregnancy, but not all the times. And how, if they have what are the contraceptive methods to prevent the pregnancy, and how care to be taken during the case of conception, pregnancy. If a baby is not healthier, if the baby is having some abnormalities, whether they can go for abortions. Yes, at the termination of the pregnancy, the medically support, assistance, the terminating the pregnancy, but not by their own traditional methods that lead to the fatality. It leads to the fatal of that organism, that person. So these are all needed in abortions, menstrually related problems, menstruations and all. So these are all very much helpful in order to make us to lead a healthy society. And very first thing we'd like to discuss here in that aspect is amniocentesis. What is this amniocentesis? In one word, we can say it's a prenatal diagnosis. Because the couple and those who are fertile couple or newly married one, they should also know that what are the measures to be taken during the pregnancy and after the pregnancy, during the prenatal and the postnatal, after the delivery of the baby also. That should minimize the mortality rate. So what are the measures to be taken? They should be aware of that. Because during the amniocentesis, the intention behind the amniocentesis is a prenatal diagnostic technique it is. If they have any abnormality in the chromosomes, in their number, in their nature, in their structure, that leads to some disorders. So by amniocentesis, what they're doing actually in the amniocentesis, they'll collect the amniotic fluid. What is amniotic fluid? The extra embryonic membrane like amnion, chorion, allantois and yolk sac, which already I dealt. Amnion is the innermost extra embryonic membrane, the membrane which are present outside the baby, enclosing the fluid called as amniotic fluid. If this amniotic fluid is collected with the help of a needle, and in that some of the fetal cells are there, some of the dissolved components are there, if they'll observe under the microscope, in the lab, they can come to know some of the disorders. For example, if you talk about the Down syndrome, is related with a chromosomal number. And even hemophilia is related with the case of, again here also linked with the case of the chromosome, where it is sickle cell anemia. All these you have a detailed account in the genetics chapter. But as of now, you should take in such a way that amniocentesis is helpful in order to make you, one who is carrying, a woman who is carrying, in order to safeguard their children. If really If they go for amniocentesis, they come to know there is a problem in their baby, they cannot move forward. I mean, they cannot carry. They're going for termination of the pregnancy, abortion. But the people are using this amniocentesis misused. For what purpose? If you come to know the chromosomes, you know, if it is autosomes and allosomes. Autosomes are same in both males and females. But in males it is XX. Is it males in XX? No, obviously it had striked in your brain. In order to catch your how far you are attentive, it's needed. Males are heterogametic, you know well. They have XY chromosomes, allosomes, whereas females are homogametic. And you know well, by knowing that chromosomes, they can come to know which is a baby is growing, which is likely to come after the delivery. If that is leading to the menace of female feticides. What is this menace? It's provoking, it's encouraging towards to go for a feticides. If they come to know is a baby girl is going to happen after the gestation period, they're going to terminate it because they don't want the female girls. That's why our Prime Minister also making that. Beti bachao. You had heard this. Beti ko bachana chahiye. We need the child, female child too. Without the female child, you don't have a chance of the construction of the society and this perpetuation of race. Beti chahiye. And they are the sparks, I mean, they are the glitterings of our family. All of you know that. I'm not deviating myself. I'm bringing you awareness is also part and parcel of I too feel is a responsibility in bringing you awareness and to know what's exactly. We feel that nowadays who will be there, ma'am, everyone is encouraging the girl's child. But no, the shocking news has revealed with some project works by some analysis. This feticides is not seen in the case of one who is illiterate and who is not having financial well-being. No. The female feticides is also happening in the high society who are well off in both financially and educationally. They don't need a baby girls, they need baby boys, they need boys. They feel like that, varas hona chahiye. But irrespective of, because why I'm bringing all these things? Even the motto behind this is also here, the action plans which are initiated by the government is also in order to make that gender bias, I mean there should be no discrimination based on the gender, equal priority of male and female. And the breastfeeding, how a mother breastfeeding is needed in order to make themselves immunized. I mean, babies immunized. Everything is a part and parcel of these programs. It's just not having a reproductively healthy organs. That's it. Ho gaya nahi. It's not. So here, that I mean to say why it's statutory ban. The reason for that is they're misusing in order to determine the sex. If they come to know the sex is determined earlier before the baby, they're going to for a feticides. It's not supposed to be. If it's not a indication of a healthy society, it's go like, because already you know that. Already started that if you go with the age sex ratio of males and females, for every 1,000 males, there are like 940 odd like females are there all over India. Only in the Kerala it's more. The females are more than the males. Why? They're well educated. It's a highly educated state, the Kerala. Don't think that I'm entertaining one state. It's the facts I'm talking about. So it means to say that it should in a such a way, if as ratio is down, the female ratio is not as proportionate as a male's. Every male, they cannot get the female in order to make the babies or go for the further for perpetuation of race. It's a fact that I told you. Everyone need to know this without the shy, without awareness is very important. That's what I said in the beginning of the topic here itself. So here, amniocentesis is banned legally. What is statutory? Is a legally banned. Lawfully is a ban. Stringent actions is taken on a particular hospital or a lab if they go for a sex determination. Next, researches are going on in this field. As I said, so many are part and parcel of the strategies these are Not only the problems, I told the problems, if they don't know about themselves, that lead to the sexual crimes increases in the society and so many related problems associated with this. So researches are going on, many researches are going on in this field in order to encourage, in order to update. The advancement in the technology and all is needed. Over decades is happening. Though it's launched in the year 1951, same old, they're not following. Many advancements are happening. Financially supporting the research in this field. And in that, the very good one is the one which we should recognize here and to appreciate here, it is CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. They developed one oral contraceptive pill by name Saheli. Saheli is a pill, a tablet used by the females in order to prevent the pregnancy. Anyway, we're going to discuss in detail in the case of the contraceptive method. But as of now, I would like to say research is also going on in order to encourage for the advancement in every field. Because as I said this, we need infrastructure support, we need the medical support, we need the material support. With all these things only, we can reduce the infantile mortality rate and maternal mortality rate, MMR. They should drive, according to this action plan, the strategy of government and the non-government organization is in order to make a medical facilitated deliveries. The delivery should take the assistance of medical help should be taken. Because if they are taken, if the deliveries is done without the scientific knowledge, it lead to so many consequences which is happening till day now in the rural areas. I'm not blaming that is happening, the scenario which is happening. Because if without proper hygiene, if they're going to handle the baby and the mother during the case of the delivery, that leads to so many diseases and leads to sometimes maternal mortality rate. Now and then you might have heard that some of the a woman died due to the no medical facility during the delivery time. Even in the case of the tribal people where there is no facility of transportation and all. That's why the government is planning in order to making after your medicine, everyone is supposed to do their services at least for a few years in the rural areas. So that you come to know actually what's the problems and how you need to educate them. So here, maternal mortality rate should be minimized, infantile mortality rate. After the birth of a baby, mortality rate should be decreased. How? In order to making that woman to give a breastfeeding is also to be, I said as menstrual program, awareness programs are going in the case of menstruation. Even Padman, I saw Akshay Kumar ka film bhi aaya. In order to bring the awareness in everyone, it's not a big crime or something else, you should maintain a secrecy. It's a part and parcel of our life, so that you should share everything in the sense, in a better way, in a healthy way. That's very important. Sharing means not the thing like that, you should take in another way. So here, not only the menstruation, even the breastfeeding also. One, if it is breastfeeding is given, a milk, it provides the immunity. The colostrum, which is the first found milk after the delivery of a baby, is rich in IgA antibodies, provides the immunity. It's one of the natural passive acquired immunity. Baby will get the immunity naturally from the mother through milk. So breastfeeding should be entertained. So by all these things, taking the medical facility during the deliveries, minimizing the MMR and also IMR and also the breastfeeding and also massive child immunization. Now this word is very fascinating, immunity after the COVID pandemic has become very popular and the most searched phenomenon. Even a layman is also talking nowadays what is immunity. They says that, that what should do like this one, you should wash your hands and this in order to make yourself immunized. Not only the corona pandemic, it is meant for all the diseases. So even the massive child immunization technique is also needed. How the immunization will be facilitated? By vaccine. Vaccine will provide the immunization. The polio. And even this measles, mumps, so many diseases, for that will take the vaccine. And the very first vaccine which is incorporated immediately after the birth of a baby is a BCG for tuberculosis, TB. That's also, I hope, majority of you, if you have really zeal, if you have really concern with the studies, you might have come across why Indians, though we are the most populous country in the world, COVID deaths during the pandemic time is less when compared to the USA, the Brazil. Worst affected nations are there in the list. Why not India? Though it's the most populous country. Some of the scientific community people, some of the scientists, they reveal that, they come to conclusion, but everything is experimental thing because everyone is starting their lives because everyone for us is a new. No one had faced earlier. It's unprecedented things happened related with the COVID. Yes, it's unprecedented. If you talk about is what I mean to say here. So vaccine is a word very familiar, and now we are very happy in order to get the vaccines for the COVID. So COVID vaccines as well, as I said, scientific community, yes, I went with that. I need to discuss the point. So scientists came to some conclusion that why India is not that much worst affected irrespective of their population. Why? The reason is we are taking the BCG. It had been the part and parcel because of our family planning program and RCH, whatever it may be. We need to thank, we need to feel proud being an Indian because in our society, it's not there in other nations. In our society, we have the thing immediately after the delivery of a baby, day one, in the days itself, we're going to have a BCG vaccine. You had seen a marks over there if you see your parents, a large mark. Nowadays, the mark has become very minute, you cannot recognize, but you can see your older people, they'll have a big mark over there on their arm. So that might be a reason because tuberculosis is related with the lungs and pandemic, this COVID is also related with the lung infection. So there's a reason why maybe it's safeguarding those people. Who knows? It's still, we are in the experimental level. Maybe the reason, who knows? If it's really such a case and it's not that worstly affected our India, we should be thankful for everything, being proud to be an Indian. And the very next, what's that? As I mean to say about here, it is vaccine, even polio. Polio is also a very massively, the program has went in such a way, they publicitized like anything, and India reached, or government reached as a polio-free nation. WHO declared already no polio cases had been filed from a long time. I'll tell you later which year our nation is declared as a polio-free nation. So these are all the part and parcel of this program and the strategies. By knowing the problems, because of knowing the problem of population itself, India launched this. It's the first nation in the world. Of knowing this, India had taken several measures in making their citizens to lead to the case of a healthy society, making a mass immunization, which is likely to be expected for COVID. Because we are very happy that already it's launched in our India too, because India is the capital for the manufacturing of vaccines. I hope you might have known that. World is getting this much of bulk vaccines, and that the one who is playing a great role is India. Why ma'am is saying several times India. So in order to bring you awareness of everything, that's a prime thing in all these things. So overall conclusion of this is the Indian government had realized earlier what are the problems, consequences with the population explosions, and they made researches and all these things in order to drive what are the strategies that will helpful in making our society healthy and socially responsible.